Hey guys, welcome to this episode of The Rachel Cruze Show. And today we're going to be talking about a question that I've heard recently. Is it possible to be a minimalist with kids? Well, a lot of people don't think so. And I recently saw an article that made headlines when Marie Kondo has given up on tidying with 3 kids. It said something like, hearing Kondo admits that her home is messy is sparking joy for moms everywhere. And if you're like me, you kind of breathed a sigh of relief when you're like, okay, even her, even the queen of simplifying and organizing her home struggles with decluttering when it comes to kids. So it's very validating. I really appreciated that. But especially if you have little ones, maintaining a minimal home is not an easy task. It seems like everywhere I look, there's a new toy from Chick-fil-A, or the kids have made art projects and they're all over the house, and it's just like there's stuff everywhere. And I don't want to be this ruthless mom that just throws everything away because I want my house to be perfect all the time in perfect condition. But I also don't want to be a hoarder and have a bunch of crap all over our house that we don't need. So today I want to share with you a few practical ways that I have been incorporating minimalism into our life, even with kids. So my first tip is to set time aside on your calendar to declutter. So whether it's monthly or seasonally, twice a year, whenever it is, block off time to go through the toy closets, the junk drawers, the pantry, the garage, kids' drawers, everything. Because let me just say, clutter can be filled up very quickly. If there is an empty space, it seems to get filled up. And if you get in the habit, though, of scheduling a time to kind of purge on a regular basis, it really does help. So here's the deal, though. You have to be strategic about this and make sure the kids are far away, because they will find a toy that they haven't played with or seen that is broken in 4 little pieces, and they will cry tears of sadness because that is their favorite toy. And that is their favorite toy. Mom, why are you throwing that toy away? And I'm like, you have not played with this toy forever and it's broken. Oh my gosh, it drives me nuts. So again, or an art project that's scribbled. This happened to me. I threw it in the trash can in the kitchen. Worst mistake ever. And Caroline gets it out and she's like, I made this for you, Mom. And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, thank you. I'll stick it in this drawer and throw it away in my next decluttering. This is just scribbles, right? So I always, with school projects and stuff, if it has a picture or a handprint, we keep it. That's the cute stuff that you look back and look how little your hand is. Not always the scribbles of stuff. So again, make sure the kids are gone. If you have to ask the grandparents to have them, for a little bit, or maybe they're at a birthday party and you tackle those junk drawers, whatever it is, make sure they are out of the house. But put this into practice, this idea of purging and looking through your stuff to see, okay, what can we get rid of? Because again, planning this on the front end and knowing what you're gonna do is going to help you in the long run, so you don't get years down the road and think, what is all this stuff? All right, my second tip is to hide and rotate your kids' toys. So I've heard people do this. I think it's really, really smart, but you get a bin and you say, hey, this bin, once it's filled up, it's done. No more toys. And we kind of did this in our kids' room. I gave them these big containers. I'm like, you can put whatever toys you want in here, but once it's filled up, it's filled up. Now, again, I'll be honest, that was probably, 2 years ago, and there's other stuff in their rooms besides what's in that little bin. But the idea is great because, it keeps everything kind of in one place. And then I have heard of people actually switching out the bins. So they'll have 4 bins and they'll put one away and hide it and then bring it back out, 3 months later, and the kids are like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen that stuff. So whatever it is, the bin idea is really great. Now, obviously, we're not perfect when it comes to this, and we tend to go to Big Lots in the summer, get a bunch of cheap outdoor toys that we know we're probably gonna throw away, but just makes it fun. So I know it's not a perfect process to have everything in a perfect little position, but the more organized you can be, the more control you're going to feel, which is really wonderful. So the bin idea is great. All right, before I share the rest of my tips, I wanna talk to you about one of our sponsors. So guys, I know we're all looking at ways to save, especially on healthcare costs. So do yourself a favor and check out Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's biblically based health cost sharing that keeps your budget under control. To learn more, go to chministries.org/budget. All right, my third tip is to invite your kids into the practice of generosity. So when you're going through their toys, obviously there's some stuff that's disgusting and gross and broken, and you're gonna throw it away. That's what it is. But there is some stuff that is still in good condition, but they're just not gonna play with. And that's where donation comes into play. So invite your kids into that and say, okay, where are some places that we can give some toys away? So whether it's churches or local daycares, children's hospitals, or even organizations like Goodwill or the Salvation Army, like bring your kids into that process and figure out, okay, where could we give some toys away? Talk about, hey, there are other kids that can use these toys. If we're not using them, then let's have the opportunity to give some away, and then let them come in and actually be generous and pick out some things to give. So that giving muscle needs to be built in all of us, but especially when you can teach your kids that, it's incredible. It's just a great teachable moment and a really sweet opportunity for you to hear from your kids of like, hey, where do I want to give? What do I want to give? And let them take initiative too. All right, my fourth tip is to do a spending freeze. So right now, we are doing this in the Cruze household till August 1st. So we talk about for your kids to learn work and that money is tied to work, to put them on commission versus allowance. So when they work, they get paid. When they don't work, they don't get paid. And we implemented that system in our house. And of course, they start earning money. And then when they learned that they could spend their money on toys, they went crazy. I don't know why they're spenders. I don't know where they got that from, but they love to spend. And so it got to a point, you guys, it was driving us crazy. Like, I was like, we have created little materialistic kids. And they would have like $2. And like, can we go to the toy store? There's this like really nice toy store in our area, and it's great. It really is. They have great stuff, but it's very expensive. And they're like, I want to buy this little slinky for $3. And I'm like, no. And at first I was like, you're gonna learn the lesson of things breaking. And now I just can't take it. Now I can't take it. So we were like, y'all, every time they earn money, they just wanted to go spend it, even though we're trying to teach them to give and save too, but they're still 8 and 6. And so we're having grace with them, but we just put a boundary. We're like, you guys, throughout the summer, we're not gonna spend any of our money. And whatever money you save up, we will match you at the end of the summer. So that's our deal, because the more money they have to spend, they can actually get a quality toy that will not break in 2 minutes after getting it. But the spending freeze works great. All right, my 5th tip is also to invest in experiences. So again, to help be a minimalist at the house and not bring in a bunch of stuff, spend your money with your kids on experiences. So I think this is an amazing thing. So whether you have a zoo nearby and you can get a membership for, if you're here in Nashville, I even think about like Cheekwood or the Adventure Science Center, but a lot of places in cities have great membership. So look into putting money there versus buying stuff. And if you don't have room in your budget right now, then you can either create a sinking fund maybe, or find other things that you can experience, you know, whether it's like a water slide, or maybe you have a great tree and you go to Home Depot and buy a rope and do a tire swing, or get sidewalk chalk and like create something, right? Create an experience with your kids. And it's also really helpful. So if family members are even asking for gifts for like birthdays or Christmas, maybe they buy a membership somewhere for an experience. All right, speaking of family members and gifts, my 6th tip is to communicate your boundaries and your desire when it comes to gift giving. So I fully understand people's love language is gift giving, and especially, you know, if they have the ability to, and they have nieces and nephews and grandkids, and they want to shower them with fun toys and all this stuff, I understand people love that, and it's great. But if you're trying to create something in your home that may be different than filling up your house with a bunch of toys, then maybe a conversation needs to happen. I always make fun of my parents about this one, because my sister had her first, William, he's 10 now, so this happened like a decade ago, but his first Christmas, my sister asked for a Fisher-Price swing. You know, like one of those like little yellow swings you like hang on a tree. Well, Mom and Dad, they opened up a little box and there was a Playset magazine. They were like, Merry Christmas, which again, unbelievable, so generous, so nice. But Denise was like, we just want to swing. Like we don't have room for all of this right now. Like what? And of course I don't have kids at that point. I was like, do I get that gift later when I have kids? But we just laughed. And ever since then, it was great, because that Christmas they overwhelmed sweet little William, who was like 4 months old, with balls and Lego, all this stuff that a 4-month-old who can barely hold up his head could never play with. So again, very grateful, but also like, okay, let's be realistic about our life, and let's be realistic about what we want to teach our kids. So again, express gratitude to the people giving gifts, but just say, hey, here's what we're like talking about as a family. How do you think, maybe you can be in on this, versus like completely like negating everything. But also, I'm gonna say this to you guys, like, give some grace too, right? I mean, if it's a birthday or something, like, there are times to celebrate too, right? So we wanna be balanced in all this. We wanna be crazy one side or the other. I knew a family that instead of birthday gifts, they asked for donations to the pet shelter, which is really sweet. But I'm like, my 8-year-old would be so sad because she'd be like, what? It's my birthday. So again, it's whatever you feel like is best for you and your family, but just be balanced in it. But there is a way to control the craziness of materialism in our world and to teach our kids a level of stability. So, all right, you guys, I hope this video was helpful. And if you're like me and Marie Kondo, trying to simplify your life with kids can be a challenge. But if you're intentional, if you have a process in place, you can do this. So send this video to a friend who may be in the throes of toddler toys and might appreciate a few tips when it comes to living more minimally. And remember, you guys, to take control of your money and create a life you love.